Hey guys, I'm Fancy,
And I'm Brande.
and this is Murder by Design. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are joined by Brande, one of our old favorites. She's been around with us for a little while. She took a little break. Now she's back with us, working on a new podcast and all kinds of cool stuff. So you're going to see a lot more of Brande coming around. I'm really excited about that. So
Yes, life kind of put a crimp in what I had planned. So
hold on one second.
But you or is that me making noise?
No, it's me. I couldn't hear. I swear it's so weird the way now it used to be I could just go down here and hit a little button and it would switch between the audio for me, and now they've messed it up, so now I got to do it like through the platform, and I got to go in and change it and go back.
Well, I wanted to make sure I opened up the YouTube so I could watch the chat because I don't see it up here. So
no, it's here. It appears on the side here. If you can see it, it should be in here.
I don't see it. Let's see.
Let's go up to comments.
There we go. There we go.
There you go. Now you should have.
I forget it was in private chat. It's been a while since I've used this platform.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, guys, like I said, we've got Brande joining us today. We're going to do an update on a case that we have been talking about for quite some time. We were going to cover it a while back. I know Brande did cover it. And of course, it is tied into a whole mess of other things that we're going to get into. So, Brande, why don't you tell us a little bit about the case that you've been working on and give us some background on it. So,
okay. The case that this was my first case solo that I did, and I had other, like I was going to do Rodney Reed and so many others, and had somebody send me this case. And they're like, nobody's talking about it. So I went and checked it out, and immediately was like, you have got to be kidding me. And that is the Hopper Road cold case, and they considered a cold case. It's been 14 years. It's 14 years last week, the 9th, December 9th. And sorry, and I've got a cat and a dog wanting to play.
I thought I was seeing something batting you.
It's the cat and the puppy's after the cat, and they're making.
And if you guys don't know, the Hopper Road murders happened in Piketon, Ohio, where oh my God, so many weird things happen in Piketon, Ohio. Let me tell you.
They are so connected with the road murders, in my opinion.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And so it just, but anyways, this case was covered by Jody Barr, and he did an amazing job. And he's got a YouTube video where he actually hunts down different subjects and people and interviews, or tries to interview. Nobody talks in this case. Nobody. I was given a name of 2 people that witnessed Paul Shop's murder, which is tied into the characters in this story. I contacted them multiple times, and they are like, nope, out. They won't talk.
Yeah.
I had a number given to me of a sheriff who, his name was Scotty, and he passed away in, I want to say June. I don't know of what, but I contacted him. I was told he'll talk to you. He's retired. He can talk now. And this officer was like, what are you talking about? And I repeated the story, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, click.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't get off the phone fast enough. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And so everybody in this case, they don't want to talk. And so it is all connected with drugs, every bit of it. With this case, Jennifer Burgett and Curtis Francis, they were engaged to be married, and they were shot to death in their bed in the middle of the night. They had been to a house party the night before. They had an argument, and she had left. And so what we think happened was they felt she wasn't going to be there. She was basically killed due to no witnesses being left.
Sure. They weren't expecting her to be there that night. So the case of wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. Wrong time to make up with the boyfriend. Just.
Right. Yeah.
Just wrong
Yeah.
time. And there was a gun missing, and they say it was a lever action rifle. Well, the brother calls it a saddle gun, which is the lever action rifle.
Right.
And a bottle of Percocet pain pills. It's all that was missing. What we uncovered in everything that was given to me, and it was all given to me by Paula Horn, who passed away in August. And her son is in prison for the Paul Shop murder. He actually pled guilty to Paul Shop's murder. And that's how, with this case, this is what I don't understand. In the file, there are statement after statement. I think there's 6 statements of witness testimony of what happened the night that Jennifer and Kurt were murdered. And it had Eric Horn and James Howe there. Multiple statements of eyewitnesses. And they haven't done anything.
Now, you're believing that it has some sort of police corruption in this, correct?
Right. Charlie Reeder, which is was the sheriff in that area, was friends with Robin Howe. Robin Howe is in the podcast, I refer to them as the family in Goonies. You know, the little mama. That's in my brain. That's where I go to when I think about the Howes, is that family. And and I don't know why, but I do every time. And they were in the rumor mill of the city is that, and I think it's like 2,800 people. It's a very small community. They were the drug runners. They controlled the drug population and where it went, who did what.
Right.
What witnesses told me was that Eric was an enforcer, as well as James, her oldest son, James. Now, the story in that is the night of the murder, Curtis and Jennifer were there, and when they left, Jennifer had left. When Kurt left, James made the statement, I got to go, and he better have my money.
Oh, wow.
And that statement came from his brother, Corey, and his girlfriend, Eden. And those are handwritten statements from them. And it took forever to decipher those statements because the handwriting was horrible. Penmanship was not what these people studied in school, just saying. And so for me, the statement from the brother holds more weight than anybody.
Sure.
Because why would a brother say his brother committed the murders? I mean, and he didn't get any, he's in prison for drugs. Him and James both. I think James just got out, but Corey is still there. And he didn't ask for leniency on a sentence for these testimonies. He wanted 1 extra hour of sunshine is all he asked for.
Wow. And see, the thing is like, there's so many of these unsolved murders in that area that even the townspeople say, you know, if you want to get away with murder, just come to Piketon, you know, because nobody's going to do anything. And like you said, I believe these are tied to the Roden family murders. There is no way. So the Roden family murders is a murder that they claim was there's a little girl involved, and it was supposed to be a custody case between the Wagner family, a son in the Wagner family, and a daughter in the Roden family. And they try to say that these 8 murders were all done because of this custody battle for this little girl. You cannot make me think that that's what happened in any circumstance.
I call bullshit.
None. Total bullshit. I truly believe it has everything to do with drugs, and I do believe there is police corruption in this. In fact, if I remember right, I talked with Angie as well. I know you've talked a lot with Angie Montgomery, and I've been talking with her too. She's trying to get justice in this case in that town,
and that's Curtis Francis's cousin.
Right. And so, you know, she's been trying so hard, and she explained to me that, you know, there was a well that there was supposedly the gun that was missing was dropped down, and the police came out, you know, A&E Studios offered to come out and, you know, dig it out and get the evidence. And they said, no, thank you. We don't need you to do that. And they ended up like putting a fire hose down there and
they used a fire truck to flood it. Their idea was it would float up.
What?
Guns float. Did you know that? Guns float.
For it to be able to float, it has to weigh less than water.
They blew out the bottom of the well. And there is a construction company that has also come to the family and said, we'll donate everything. We'll donate every bit of equipment, the people, everything. But the family's smart. They're like, we're not going to do this without the cops there. That way, chain of custody does not get broken, and they can't claim it came from anywhere other than the well itself. And this stuff at this point is probably so down deep in the mud when it blew out that bottom. It's going to be extremely difficult to find. I don't think it's impossible, just difficult.
Yes, and Froggy Carter, that was the one where all where they were all family members.
Yes, all of them, the Rodin ones.
Yes. Yep, we're related. And that's going through the court system right now. It's been delayed quite a bit.
What year was that? I can't remember what year.
Let me look at it real quick. I have it pulled up here. I can't remember what year it was. October 29th. Hold on.
I want to say it was like 4 years ago, 5 years.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it real quick. That one doesn't tell me. When was... Let me just grab it real quick. I know I can find it here. April 22 of 2016 is when it happened.
So 4 years. And Charlie Reeder was over that case as well, wasn't he? Yes.
And now he's gone. Yes,
he had. Now, this is the funny thing with Reeder. Reeder had 17 felony charges against him and 1 misdemeanor. All for abuse of office. I had the charges at one time all listed. I mean, they were massive charges. He pled guilty to 2.
Wow.
They pretty much just threw everything else out. 2 charges. Yeah.
And he's the sheriff. Like, that was
no
the
longer.
sheriff.
He was a sheriff no longer.
He was the sheriff. Yeah, well, God, I mean.
He had all these charges and was still trying to run for office. The city council was no, not happening.
I mean, you know my opinion on politicians, so
they're all crooked. They're all
crooked. Both sides. I don't even. Both sides. I just think we should throw them all out. Start all over. That's my opinion.
Call do-over. Fire every single person in a political office. Sorry about the camera, and start over.
If you've been in office for more than 5 years, out. Like, goodbye.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah,
just done.
Me too.
And I was for the other day, Angie had shared on Twitter, I think it was Angie had shared on Twitter about him pleading. It's 2 charges. And I'm like, what the hell? There were 17 felony charges. I think it was like 80 years in prison was the timing for all of these charges, and 2.
Yeah. Wow.
And to me, and I said this in my podcast, and I've talked to many officers, and they tell you when you're in law enforcement, whether it be law enforcement or the courts or whatever position of power, you should be above board. And his credibility for any case is not okay. They told Angie they were trying, the new DA, I think it was trying to pull the case for Jennifer and Curtis to reinvestigate. And FBI was like, nope, taking files. They've taken everything and refused access to anybody while they investigate Reeder. Reeder was friends with Robin Howe.
Well, I guess I mean, I understand it because that's a open case. We ran into that in the Gypsy and Nick case, because
when it's open, you can't get hardly anything.
No, I ran into it. I've run into it in a couple of cases. If they're open, even if they're cold, if it's been 10, 14 years, if it's still an open case, you're not getting anything.
Everything we have on this case came from the Paul Shop murder, because when they started going about Paul Shop, people started talking about this murder, and then they had wiretapping done, and I mean, they had wiretapping where they had Paula Horn on tape laughing about getting rid of the weapon that killed Paul Shaw. And they were filing charges on her. She had tampering of evidence charges and something else. And Eric agreed not to, if they would throw those charges out, he would give them everything they wanted, plead guilty. And there is memos from his lawyer to the courts. He had information on the double murder and would give them the details. Now,
wow.
Eric claims, I will give his side of that because there are always two sides.
Right.
I looked for it. I tried to back it up. I wanted to be able to back it up. I couldn't. There was more testimony opposite. He claims that James and Robin's boyfriend Kevin were the ones that committed the murder, and that James told him about it. And he had told James he wouldn't say anything, lips sealed, whatever. And later on came back to him and said, man, this is kind of eating at me, and it was eating at James, evidently, supposedly. Let's go to the cops. I'll hide you out. Let's go tell them what you know. And it was a week later, Eric claims that Robin called him and said, hey, I need you to come over. We need to talk. Come alone.
Wow.
And when he went, James beat the crap out of him. I mean, they had to live flight him to a different hospital. He had huge gashes on his head. I mean, it was bad.
Wow.
Now, the house claimed that they had kind of, there was some testimony of them on Paul's shop, kind of throwing Eric under the bus, and that he called and wanted to come over and confront them about it, is their claim.
Wow.
So either way, there's a claim, a fight happened, and James beat the crap out of Eric. I mean, it was bad. But that's what Eric claims happened, that it was not him, that it was James and Kevin. But Corey says it was James and Eric. So now
what's your theory? I mean, what are you thinking?
I am going with Corey's girlfriend's statement, and that's Eden. Her name is Eden, and she said that James and Eric came back to the house. They were covered in blood. They stripped their clothes, and she was told to go burn the clothes. And she burned the clothes. Now, this is where the story gets kind of fun. She burned the clothes, and everything was thrown down into this well piece. This house is where the well was blown out from the sheriff's blowing the water in there. It is now a friend of Curtis's brother's home. He bought the place from the house, and he was tracing some electrical wires, and it went out to this well area, and he gets to look in, and he's like, oh crap, I remember them saying about this happening. So he called the law. They put a camera down in the well, took pictures. There are pictures that show burned clothing and the long rifle.
I did not know that happened. Yes. Is that new? When did that happen? Because that's relatively new. Yes.
This happened in, I want to say, 2014.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was a few years ago, but that was right before they blew the well out to get the things out of the well.
Oh, I see.
The brother, the homeowner, and Curtis's mother have seen these pictures. And it shows clothing that looks charred and the gun. And
but I mean, they can't get it to test it. They can't get it
because it's gone. And at this point, it's probably been in mud and water so long, there's no DNA they can get off of that, I wouldn't think. I mean, I don't know.
But ballistics, ballistics. They could still get ballistics to match the gun. That was what I'm thinking.
Not many people have lever action weapons anymore. And so that's not something that's randomly, that's too coincidental for me.
Sure, absolutely.
Too coincidental.
Julius, I'm sorry. I don't know what you're asking, bud. So maybe a little more clarification there, because I don't know what that means. Alpha Kenny. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, bud. So yeah, I don't know what he's saying there. And I know that that's some sort of I know there's a meme that deals with Alpha Kenny body, but I don't know. I mean, so I'm sorry. I don't know. You'll have to be more clear on that so I can answer your question. I don't know. But man, this case, my heart goes out to the people that are waiting. And I just feel like they are all connected. This whole thing And I find more and more of them all the time when I'm looking, because I look at the Piketon murders. We're planning on covering that pretty extensively coming up in one of our crime of the months. And I'm telling you that the more that I look at that case, the more that I find others that I think are definitely.
And everything is around drugs. Every one of them. Paul Shop, the first cop, because at the time I don't think he was a sheriff on scene, was Reader.
Yeah, right.
And the written statements from the officers, they're like, we need to make sure we can't prove you were here. You did this. So let's check your weapon. Let's check this. Let's check the list. I mean, they excluded him from the murder of Paul Shop within the first 10 minutes. And he was on scene within 10 minutes. The body was still hot when he got on scene. Now, Paul Shop's family, and there's no way to prove this. This is strictly suspicion from the family, from what Paul told them. Is he had been doing drugs and getting in trouble, and he had decided to turn state's witness and was wearing a wiretap to bust out the family on the drugs.
Wow.
And that is how it come about, Eric as the enforcer to do the hit. And that was, and there will be no proof of it, because then Reader would get busted because he was involved with the drug running. And that's, again, all speculation from with the families are saying. That testimony offended Paula Horn because there was no proof, and that never happened according to her. And I'm like, well, I mean, you're not going to know whether it happened. I mean, they're not going to tell you. I mean, dude was wearing a wire, and that's why your son killed him. They're not going to tell you that.
No, absolutely not. They're definitely not going to tell anything like that. I mean, oh God, wow. And that's the way. That's the thing is that's the only way I think something's going to happen is if somebody actually decides they're going to tell something. That is. I think people know exactly what happened. I think that besides just even the suspects, I think there's other people that know exactly what happened in this case. And I just. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. I'm hoping maybe now that they've basically had a changing of the guard here with, a new sheriff and different officials and things, maybe that they'll get somewhere with this. I think the hardest part though is like that well, like, damn it. And now it's just a sealed up well. Like they've put
a metal plate's done over it and welded down where
I don't know
you can't get in there.
I don't know if you could tunnel through to it. I
what
mean,
they will have to do is go over, like run parallel to it and go down to where the bust out area is. Mainly to keep it from caving, because if you go too close, that'll all cave in.
It'll all cave in. Right.
It's a huge task. And I mean, the family wants it done. They're willing to pay, which they have people volunteering to do that. And the county just didn't. I am hoping with the light coming out on Reader and all of his issues that they will. I mean, I think that when they do, they're going to start seeing a whole lot of other. I mean, you've got the Roden family. I think I've seen 2 other cases in that area. And sadly, if we were, and I was thinking today on this when I was getting ready for today, if this would have been something like the Watts case.
Yes.
A pretty young family that was upstanding citizens, there would have been more coverage. And there wasn't, I mean, we're talking backwoods country people drug running, and there's no money involved, and it's not picture perfect families. And so there's no coverage. There's none. And luckily this year, I think we've had several podcasts done on Curtis and Jennifer. And of course there was Jody Barr's episode, and I think his came out like a year or 2 ago, and they're getting more and more coverage, but I mean, sadly, it's not what they need. They need more.
Well, it's going to take time. I mean, and I think it's going to take some substantial something coming forward. I'm hoping that once Roden gets processed and done and through, maybe we'll see some connections come through with the court case, because I think that they'll bring it up. I do. I just cannot. I still cannot. Like I said, I can't back that was a custody battle. I really don't believe so. And I honestly think that they are the core in the middle of all of this, along with
very possible.
Like, I actually believe it all connects to that case specifically, because that was just too brutal and too crazy for just a custody battle.
Right.
Like if it's a custody battle, you kill the mom. If you're going
Right.
to kill somebody, you're going to kill the mom and you're going to move on. You're not going to kill
You may kill
8
one
other
family
people.
member. Right. There may be, if there's like one family member with her, then yeah, but you go in and murder the whole family. And wasn't one of them like a teenager?
Yes.
And so that makes no sense. None.
No, none. Absolutely none. And I can't believe that that's what they try to pass it off as. It just blows my mind. And I just think it cannot be that. But, this isn't the first case we've heard of police corruption. These cases are not, and I back the blue. Everyone knows it. I back the blue. I stand behind our brothers in blue. I am extremely supportive of them. However, I am also very supportive of, getting rid of these
bad cops.
Yeah, exactly. And we're even working with Christina here, our one of our partners, to create a foundation that works with that, like a nonprofit foundation for that. It's called the Gale Force. And so,
I'm a huge Life PD fan, and be glad when it comes back on. And my favorite officer is Officer Kingery. And of course, he's in Texas, and of course, following him on TikTok is hilarious. But he came out right after George Floyd, and he said, if you're a bad cop, if this is your mindset, please do us all a favor and get the fuck off the force. You have no business. I mean, he was livid. He was like, there are many of us out here that are good cops doing our job to protect people, and you're making our job impossible.
Well, and I think that 95% of them are great. They are good cops who care and want to do. That's that other 5% that really F it up for everybody, know, and make this really hard. And so, I mean, we're dealing with a couple of these cases that we've been working on. Christina just dropped the Gale Force, Good Apples of Law Enforcement. That's the foundation that we are working on.
Christina, you need to send that to Officer Kingery. He may be somebody that can help you because he does have a voice and he uses it. It might be something to send to him.
We're working with the Cold Case Research Institute, Cheryl McCollum, on that as well. And guys, we have a crime and wine coming up with her, wine and crime coming up with her, that you guys are going to be able to do an event. It's going to be a fundraiser for them, and it's going to be great. So we've got a lot of things, but I work with law enforcement every day. Our team works with them every day. We have amazing people. They donate so much of their time to us. They don't get paid for their time when they come on and they answer questions and talk about a case. They are here solely because their hearts are, let's get these things solved. Let's talk about this. Let's get this done. And Cheryl was the first one to come out after Floyd with us and say, this is not okay. This is not right. We have to do better. And so, we're working on trying to, with the Gale Force, go into these even, impoverished communities, whether it be, the Blacker communities, or even like this, like a backwoods community, and get the officers involved with helping these communities, and because it's not going to change just by one thing. It has to be in the core, from the community out, and it really does. And even like what we're seeing in some of the cases that we're working in Texas, like Rodney Reed, and you've got one other one, right, Brande?
Ivan Cantu. Ivan Cantu is on death row as well for the murder of his cousin James Mosqueda and James's fiance Amy Kitchen. And and that one, I'm like, is it police corruption or just bad police work? And it's a it's hard. In some of Ivan's case, I look at that and go, okay, he could be guilty. Oh wait, never mind. And so it's
I understand.
It was just really bad attorneys. It was bad police work. And one of the cops even tells one of the witnesses, which way you better fall on this. And jury's never going to not believe the cute little blonde. And so they went into that case that way. And that's what I'm working on now, and working with the family on that one, actually.
Well, and Rodney Reed as well. Like, I mean, that was absolutely, any way you look at that, any way you throw spaghetti at the wall, it's going to stick on. Those police officers were absolutely corrupt. And they just did a new one on 2020, Stacey Stites, they did it about it. And I think that 2020 did a good job of showing both sides.
They did decent on both sides. There were evidence they didn't show that I wish they would have showed.
Sure. There is. And I think, but they didn't go deep enough. I think that they could have gone deeper, obviously. But we are working on a documentary ourselves with that. We've been trying to get funding for it. If we do get it, we are working with one of Rodney's best friends, and we're trying to get the family involved. They're very much interested if we can get, a grant to do that documentary on it, because I really believe it's a case that needs to be out there. I've just watched Trial 4 on Netflix, which all of these remind me of that case, which is Sean Ellis's case. And that poor guy went through 4 different trials, spent 23 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit, that police officers committed on another police officer. And then, it was a changing of the guard. A DA was leaving, a new DA was coming in. So the old DA, he gets out because he was granted a new trial, the 4th trial, and the DA finally comes forward, says they're not going to go ahead and prosecute in this time. They're just going to go ahead. They just can't, right? But then, to add salt to the wound, instead of just saying, we've decided we're not going to prosecute against Sean Ellis and leave it at that. No, he has to make the statement afterwards of, oh, well, it's not because he's not guilty. It's not because that we think that he is innocent. By no means. It's that we no longer have evidence because many people have passed on and we don't have this and things have been lost in the system. So we can't prosecute him to the fullest extent that we would like to. So we're not going to take the case. Are you kidding me? Like, literally, you've put this guy through hell, knowing that your officers did this, and you still can't just leave it alone and say, that's fine, we're just not going to prosecute. And they wanted to be the ones to say it instead of leaving it for the new DA that would have gone and investigated it more, and looked at it. And I think there's going to be a big investigation in that case. And eventually, I think there will be some investigations in some of these Texas cases that you're working, Brande.
Well, with Rodney Reed, the other night, listening to that DA, I'm like, the logistics don't fit. How do the logistics not fit? Because they didn't fit for Rodney's side either. You can't place Jimmy Fennell there because of logistics. Well, you can't technically place Rodney there because of logistics either, because the time frame doesn't fit.
She made me so angry. Like, she was so wishy-washy.
Well, and there was a statement she made that I wrote down that I am like, did she really just say this? Hold on, because I thought I'm calling fancy on this one, because this woman really just said this. Let's see. She says there is no absolutes in science. She said that on the 2020. And that is Lisa Tanner, Texas Deputy Attorney General. And she says there's no... how? Science is how you base the case on. So... yeah.
Wow.
I was floored with that statement. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe
that was
she said that.
That was the same thing when I was watching this Trial 4 on Netflix. Like, literally, my mouth dropped open a million times hearing the things that they said. And then his attorney that he finally ends up with, she's hilarious. Like, when she's looking at stuff and she is trying to, like, piece together and she looks at it logically, the things that come out of that woman's mouth, you just die laughing. But then it's like, it's so sad, because it's so blatantly obvious, just like in Rodney Reed's case, it's blatantly obvious, that these things, and I just, it's not just one community. It's not, these are happening all over.
Rodney Reed is Black. Ivan Cantu is Hispanic. The stuff in Piketon, those are white.
Right.
I mean, this has happened across. Darlie is a white female, rich female. I mean, well, they weren't rich. They were well off. And you've got all of these. I mean, it happens everywhere with every race. It's not just what. Basically, the problem falls in if you cannot afford a good attorney, you're screwed.
Right. That's it. And that's it. We've talked about this before. The justice system is very stacked against people who are not, financially stable. It is stacked against them.
The assigned attorney, they're getting paid whether they do that or not. I mean, they're drawing a paycheck. They're not really out to make a name for themselves for defending you. And I mean, not everybody, and I know some, I love Kirk Nermy. I think he did the best that he could with Jody. And I mean, he had crazy pants on top of crazy pants there. And he still did the best of his ability, and he still tried to save her damn life.
He did save her life.
And that doesn't happen with every case.
Knowing what he knew she was 100% guilty, but his job was to save her life. It wasn't to get her a non-guilty verdict. It was for him to save her life. In a capital, he explained to us, in a capital punishment case, that is generally what that attorney is going for, because when you're charged with capital murder, it is usually hands down that they have enough evidence to convict you. Like that's, unless it's like we're talking about some corruption and stuff, but you generally, it's hands down, you're done. Okay. And so the idea there is to save their lives.
With Ivan in Texas, and here's the thing, in Texas, don't get charged with a crime like that, because it is so hard to get exonerated. I mean, it is, we are one of the toughest states on the death penalty, and one of the toughest states with getting exonerated. And with Ivan, because they charged him capital murder, because they said that there was another crime that was committed during the murders, and that was robbery. Yes. And he was charged with stealing a Rolex that belonged to his cousin. The Rolex wasn't stolen. The boy's mother, or the brother-in-law, or the fiance's brother, had gotten the watch, gave it to the police. The police had it the whole time, and then returned it to the mother. But then that was in the court filing of what he was supposed to have stolen, and it was never stolen.
Right, and that's the thing okay, so the idea there, and I think this is nationwide. I don't think it's specific by state, I believe, but you don't quote me on that. But any time that a murder is committed inside of another crime, that's where it becomes a capital case.
Right, I believe that is true. Yes.
Yes, and I believe that is what happens. But anyway, guys, Brande, why don't you tell them where they can listen to your whole thing on Hopper Road and what you have coming up here?
I did Hopper Road back when I was Southern Bells of True Crime. It is now True Crime Uncorked. I am starting over. Season 2 is fixing to kick off in January because I've had to revamp. My partner Dawn has got too much going on with her family and her mama, and she just cannot devote her time. So I am starting over, and going to be working with Fancy with some things. But my podcast and YouTube will be kicking off in January. True Crime Uncorked. I've got a lot of cases I want to do, but I seem to be really focused in on some of these wrongfully convicted cases. They, I talk a lot about Darlie. Darlie she has my heart, and there's just too much with that one that people don't want to believe. I've run into Ivan's case, and his wife Tammy is so sweet, and she'll be catching this later on today. And all they want is a new trial. They just want a trial. And he's like, I didn't do this. I just wanted a trial. I mean, and his lawyers, I did some shady stuff, and I'll be talking about that. And you can find a lot of that case on Cousins by Blood. Sorry. Okay. The big watchdog who's like 4 pounds. And so, but I'll be kicking all my stuff off in January.
Yeah.
And going in that direction. I had to put everything on hold. I was supposed to start in July. And we ended up moving from one side of Texas to the other side of Texas. Hey, shut. And and then within being here for 2 weeks, had 2 hurricanes. So
oh Jesus.
And 2 job changes. So it's like, okay. Do over. I'm ready for 2020 to go bye-bye.
To be done. I am too. This year, while we've had a lot of growth for our company, this year has been quite, awful. Just very hard for some of us personally. It's been a very struggling year for us. I mean, I do have a beautiful grandson from 2020, so I have to say that, this is Wyatt Lee, and I just love him to death. And he's 3 weeks old. And he's just so stinking cute. It's not.
I love those
funny.
squeaky noises. I love baby squeaky noises.
That's basically all he does. He doesn't cry. It's crazy. he's such a good little boy. I'm so happy, and
Well,
we're
we
so
are
blessed.
extremely happy to be back here, back in Southeast Texas. This
Yeah.
is our home. My husband grew up here. I've been here since '95. I love this place. We have left twice now and come back. And so I'm like, I don't think we can leave again. And
Right.
even though, I mean, we're sitting here and Hurricane Laura was coming down on us and we're looking at total devastation and we're thinking, holy crap, we have to evacuate.
Mhm.
We still have boxes. I'm like, I don't even know what to take because everything was, I mean, we had barely gotten everything off the truck. And,
I've got this picture of you like with big boxes trying to walk out of the house. Like, we gotta save this.
I literally just grabbed the photo box because I'm like, everything's in Rubbermaid totes. So I'm like, so if it floats, it's all good. You know, it's in Rubbermaid. And at that point, I'm like, I'm sick of looking at it. So if it floats away and blows off into Never Never Land, to hell with it. I don't care.
Right.
And so it's been fun and we're glad to be back and I'm ready to get back on track. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I do promise that the final episode of Scott Peterson will be out today. I promise you. I am sitting down as soon as I finish this, and thank you, Christina. I think so too. As soon as I finish this, I'm going to finish editing the Scott Peterson. Colleen was trying to edit it but she's in the throes of her final semester and it's finals week. So, she'll be getting her nurse practitioner degree this in just a couple weeks. So she's a little busy. So I'm going to finish it up. We have a couple of bonus episodes to go with that. I can't promise that all the bonus episodes will be out today,
innocent.
but the final
innocent.
Brande, he is not innocent. He is not innocent. He is not. Oh, I can't believe that you think this. I thought Colleen was the only weirdo.
Nope. Colleen and I have always agreed on that one.
No, he's not innocent. Oh my God. But anyway.
Even though, did you read? I mean, he did just like steal a whole bunch of money from the state of California because they're stupid. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
The unemployment checks and all. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You're trying to get a new trial and this is what you pull.
This is what you're doing, right, dumbass?
Not helping you.
I promise that will be out, and then by Saturday, our second episode of Gone Cold with Todd Matthews will be out. We cover a really great case in that one, and I'm sure it's one that we're going to cover a couple episodes. So, and then, like we said, Good Wives will be back in January, and Brandy's new True Crime Uncorked is going to be back in January. And don't forget, our crime of the month is Diane Downs, and we just did our first. We did the intro. Monday we did our first, big episode about it. Kind of got it pretty far into the case there. It may take us more than the regular 4 episodes that we do on that one.
There's a lot more with Diane Downs than people realize.
Yes, and her family.
Because even after I got through covering the case and I was done, it was like 2 weeks later I found more stuff, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? What?"
Yeah, that case is crazy. But anyway, guys, thanks so much. Thanks so much for tuning in and dishing true crime with the Good Wives and Brande from True Crime Uncorked. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at True Crime Wives, and you can find us on Patreon. We also have a membership club on our website, which is madgingerentertainment.com. Christina, can you throw up some links, please? Thank you, love. And guys, make sure we're getting a brand new shop, so we're going to have all kinds of new merchandise coming out. So if you're joining our Patreon or our membership clubs or any of those things, you're going to get brand new merchandise because we just started redesigning some things. So I'm really excited about all of that. But guys, keep tuning in, come back and see us, and Brande, we'll be seeing more of you. So have a good one, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.